The gospel world is in mourning, but it's not just the loss of a legend that has everyone talking, it's the shocking revelation she left behind. Mama Mosie Burks, the beloved matriarch of gospel music, has passed away. Her voice moved generations, her spirit lit up every room, and her faith inspired millions. But behind the hymns and hallelujahs was a secret, a hidden fortune, carefully tucked away. And now, one woman closest to her is breaking the silence, revealing the emotional story behind Mama Mosie's final and unexpected decision. This wasn't just about money, it was about loyalty, legacy, and a final act of truth that has rocked the gospel community to its core. Why did she keep this fortune hidden? Who was meant to receive it, and who was left out? And why is Tamil Man, someone who knew her heart, speaking now? In this video, we uncover the untold side of Mama Mosie Burks's final chapter, a chapter filled with grace, secrecy, and a legacy far more complex than anyone ever imagined. You won't believe who got left out of the will and where Mama Mosie Burks' millions are going instead. The gospel community is reeling, not just from the heartbreaking loss of a legend, but from the jaw-dropping revelations unfolding after her passing. Mama Mosie, the soul-stirring voice of the Mississippi Mass Choir and a beloved matriarch of gospel music, has left behind a legacy filled with praise, power, and now profound mystery. Just when the world thought they knew her story, a shocking twist has turned everything upside down. She didn't just leave behind hymns and hallelujahs, she left behind a fortune. But instead of passing it on to family or holding on to lavish assets, Mama Mosie gave it all away. Yes, all of it. No mansion bequeathed, no secret savings funneled to relatives, no material legacy guarded behind closed doors. What she did with her wealth is shaking fans, surprising her inner circle, and sparking one of the most emotional conversations the gospel world has seen in years. And trust me, this is only the beginning. One of the most reputable voices in gospel, Tamil Man, is now speaking out to explain Mosie's actions. We'll learn the enigmatic facts about Mama Mosie Burks' last days in this film. The truth about how she amassed fortune in secret, why she decided to donate it all, why she purposefully omitted the emotional response of Tamil men, why she claims this was the only option, and how the gospel industry is currently struggling with her shocking ultimate choice. It becomes intriguing at this point. You'll see why Mosie's final performance may be the most impactful sermon she has ever given if you stay with us through the entire film. The woman behind it all existed before the press, before the shock of her will, before the sobbing disclosure of the Tamil man. Burks, Mama Mosie, raised on a foundation of modest faith and solid familial ties. Mosie was born in the Deep South during a period when gospel music was more than simply a fad, it was a lifeline. Despite having no formal training in music, she became the lifeblood of gospel choirs all over the country, particularly as the dazzling force behind the Mississippi Mass Choir, whose singing energized the sanctuary. People felt her soul in addition to hearing her sing. Every note she struck was filled with praise, suffering, and testimony. By the ostentatious standards of today, Mama Mosie was hardly a celebrity. She made her name recognized without scandals or accolades. Integrity, perseverance, and an unwavering passion for the gospel were the foundations of her legacy. This is where things start to change, though. Few people knew that Mama Mosie was a cunning, financially astute woman behind the robes and revival tents, despite the world's perception of her as a woman who was solely committed to ministry and service. She had amassed a multi-million-dollar fortune over decades in a quiet and covert manner. Indeed, a woman who many believed led a simple life had significantly more money than anyone had anticipated in the form of investments, land holdings, royalties, and publication rights. The mystery starts at this point. Why would someone with so much money live as if she had little? Why, in a world where gospel musicians frequently become celebrities, did she never show off her success? According to those close to her, it was intentional. Others allude to secrets she held till the moment of her death. Now, however, it is evident that Mosie had been getting ready for something, an ultimate deed that would alter everything. Wait until you hear who Mama Mosie declined to name in her last will and testament. If you find that shocking, fans across came together in churches, live streams, and gospel forums to honor the life of a woman who genuinely lived for the Lord and to share memories after hearing of Mama Mosie Burks' passing. However, what transpired a few days later rocked the gospel world to its foundation. Mosie's estate-affiliated private lawyer issued a succinct, well-crafted statement. Miss Burks has designated the entire amount of her estate to be distributed in accordance with her final will and testament. The remainder of the assets will be given to community gospel initiatives, youth shelters, and faith-based outreach missions throughout the South. Hold on, everything? There was no mention of direct family, no gifts of honor to peers. She left no explicit bequest, not even for her beloved Mississippi Mass Choir. What was happening? Whispering started from family close sources. Gospel insiders started making assumptions. Soon after, a leaked section of the will made public what many people didn't want to think. Mama Mosie purposefully left out a number of relatives, such as a nephew who had claimed to have provided financial support to her in her early years, and a niece who had openly stood by her side throughout health issues. Even more startling is the fact that, just months before she died, Mosie revised her will following a private argument that left her feeling devastated and let down. According to a longtime friend and choir member, she was deceived. According to the source, she began to be treated more like a bank than a member of her family. Unless they needed anything, they no longer called. She decided to leave everything to the mission field at that point. This was not only a choice. It was a declaration. Mama Mosie had dedicated her life to using her voice to inspire optimism. And now that she was dead, she wanted to use her wealth to inspire optimism. She decided to avoid people who, in her opinion, didn't deserve the blessings that they thought would be bestowed upon them. Many people in her inner circle were incensed by that. Some said she wasn't thinking clearly. A legal review was urged by others. However, the will remained unwavering. But the Tamila man's response was much different. She came forward with a message no one anticipated, while others rushed to challenge the will, one that exposed the unadulterated spiritual reality of Mama Mosie's decision. Fans were crying on social media at Tama's next statement, as rumors circulated and conjecture raged, in anticipation of hearing from someone who knew Mama Mosie as a sister in spirit as well as a legend. The gospel community held its breath. Tama man was that person. Tama, who was well known for her poignant songs like Take Me to the King and her honest candor, had been silent for days after Mosie Burks' death. Behind the scenes, Tamila was crafting a response not to justify Mosie's decisions, but to explain them in a way that only she could to what her fans believed to be her private grief. An poignant video of Tama sitting in a darkly lit room with a solitary candle flickering next to her, without makeup, was shared on her official Facebook and Instagram pages. She inhaled deeply before starting. Mama Mosie didn't abandon anyone, you know. Although some of us didn't expect it, she left us everything we needed. As she described the private talks she had with Mosie in the final months of her life, Tama fought back tears, discussions in which the elder singer vented her frustrations, not about her health or her celebrity, but rather on the disappointment she felt for her loved ones. Tama explained that Mama Mosie was genuinely concerned about the future of gospel music and the struggling youngsters it no longer addressed. She told me, "Tam, I don't want to leave this earth and have folks fighting over what I leave behind. I want to give it to God while I still can." She had more in mind than simply leaving a legacy. She desired to sow seeds for future generations. Money was not the goal of her endeavor. It had to do with ministry. She observed churches closing. Rather than singing in choirs, she observed young girls with angelic voices strolling the streets. She continued by adding, "Perhaps I can provide the next generation with the same lifeline that the gospel provided for me if I can finance it." After pausing, Tama made a statement that would go viral. She did not exclude us. She gave us a boost. Thousands of people went on to share the video. It was reposted by gospel musicians Yolanda Adams, Cece Winans, and Carshare. Supporters flocked to the comments section, expressing how Mama Mosie's choice moved, humbled, and even convinced them. However, there was still actual tension simmering in the background, despite the moment's spiritual beauty. Not only were some family members offended, but they were furious. Manipulation accusations started to fly. The estate's neighbors were afraid that a court case might break out at any time. Nevertheless, Tamila concluded her statement with composure. Mama Mosie didn't do anything halfway, as anyone who knew her would attest. Hey everyone, this was her sermon. Her last altar call was this one. It is now our responsibility to continue it. Although many were reassured by Tama's message, it also exposed another startling reality, one that the public had not yet seen. Mama Mosie did more than simply give away her wealth. Before she died, she covertly supported a covert initiative. You will be rendered dumbfounded by the nature of that project. Another aspect of the story surfaced just when fans believed they had heard everything there was to know about the will, the riches, the family conflict, and the emotional letter from the Tamil man. And up until today, this one had been kept out of the public view. Months before to her death, Mama Mosie Burks had secretly started and fully financed a faith-based legacy project that was so covert that not even some of her closest friends knew what she was up to. According to records retrieved from a Jackson, Mississippi, gospel outreach nonprofit, Mosie had contributed over $1.7 million to the Lift Every Voice Legacy Initiative, a privately held nonprofit organization, restoring dilapidated churches, establishing gospel music programs in underprivileged schools, and setting up a nationwide youth gospel scholarship fund for promising musicians and vocalists are all part of its goal. Take a moment to process that. Mosie was already investing her money in the ministry, which had always been her passion, while other people were worried about who would get what in the will. She didn't put her vision in the hands of a foundation. She took action without waiting for someone else to do so. She completed it on her own terms and by herself. The concept came about during a chat in a nursing home room just 6 months before Mosie's death, according to the project's director, Reverend Carla Jennings, a lifelong community organizer who had previously worked with Mosie. She handed me the first check, $250,000, as she sat there in her robe and said, "Rev, I ain't going to sit here and die with a full bank account while kids out here got nothing but a dream and a phone." She added, "We start now." It developed from there in a methodical and silent manner. 3 historic black churches in Mississippi and Alabama, each over a century old and previously closed owing to financial constraints, were fully restored thanks to Mosie's assistance. Beginning in 2026, the Mosie Burks School of Worship Arts, a scholarship trust fund, will support at least 50 young gospel musicians annually through the full music wing of a rural Arkansas high school. Furthermore, she expressly asked that no significant statements be made until after her funeral. She wished to avoid media attention. Praise was not what she wanted. She wished to complete her race in silence, as she had done for the most of her life. Why the secrecy though? If I go loud, they'll try to turn it into a headline. Mosie wrote in her writings, which the Tamil man cited in a subsequent statement. But if I go silent, maybe the noise of what I leave behind will shake the earth for generations. That's precisely what's taking place right now. Since then, interest in the Lift Every Voice Legacy initiative has skyrocketed. Educators, youth choirs, and churches from all around the country are contacting her to inquire about how they may respect her legacy, donate, and continue her vision. Mama Mosie didn't leave behind a gospel catalog for profit. She didn't leave dazzling assets or family drama at the center of her legacy. She left behind a pattern for faith, for humility, for action. But this leads us to the final and maybe most controversial component of the puzzle, because while many have welcomed Mosie's dying deeds, others, especially within her family, are now making serious attempts to contest her decisions in court. And trust me, this portion gets bad. Just when it seemed Mama Mosie Burks' narrative would finish on a note of legacy and grace, turmoil started building behind the scenes. What began as whispers of displeasure from relatives quickly developed into something considerably more severe, a legal challenge to her will. According to court records filed several weeks after her funeral, 2 family members, a niece and a great-nephew, have officially filed a petition to question the legitimacy of Mosie's final will, saying that she was not of sound mind and may have been pressured, tricked into handing away her estate. But here's the twist. Those closest to her, including Tamala Man, Reverend Carla Jennings, and veteran members of the Mississippi Mass Choir, feel the idea is preposterous. Mama Mosie was clear. She understood exactly what she wanted. She made her decision with intention, with prayer, and with full clarity. Reverend Carla declared in a press event outside the courthouse, "It's awful that people can't respect her final desires just because they didn't benefit from them." Tamila Man also responded to the news on social media with a strong and sorrowful video. "It's not about what she had, it's about what she gave." And some folks are more furious about the money than they ever were about the ministry. That tells you all you need to know. But the legal challenge goes deeper than merely inheritance. The suit says Mosie's health had decreased fast before her death and that she may have been persuaded by those with direct access to her inheritance. They're even demanding that Tamala Mann and Reverend Jennings be called in for questioning about Mosie's state of mind and the date of the donations. Despite all this, experts think the will is airtight. According to legal analyst James W. Carter, who specializes in estate law, from what we've seen so far, Mama Mosie took every precaution. The will was notarized, witnessed, and confirmed under medical evaluation. It will be a very tough case to overturn, and yet, the family's legal team is going forward. Whether it's sadness, entitlement, or desperation, something is fueling this conflict, and it threatens to taint a legacy based on love and service. But here's the part that actually leaves supporters heartbroken. While Mosie Burks meant her final acts to uplift the future of gospel, the legal infighting may temporarily freeze her donations. Her scholarship fund is now under evaluation. Church restorations have been stopped, and the exact blessings she poured onto the community with her last breath are now caught in legal limbo. It's a cruel irony, and one that serves as a brutal reminder of how popularity, especially in the gospel world, can bring out the worst when money is involved. Still, many refuse to let her mission die. A burgeoning campaign online called #OwnerMosie has begun spreading throughout social media. Admirers, fellow artists, and believers from all walks of life are raising money independently to continue her goal. While the court battles continue on, gospel performers are planning tribute concerts, churches are hosting youth worship nights, choirs are recreating her songs in emotional dedication. Because no matter what happens in court, one truth remains: Mama Mosie Burks lived the gospel, not simply preached it. Her voice reverberated through the walls of the church. Songs spilled out of her spirit. Those who are refusing to mute her last wish are now writing her legacy. Mama Mosie Burks led a life centered on purpose rather than profit. From modest origins to gospel royalty, from church pews to national stages. She also made a decision in her last days that stunned everyone: by what she gave out, not by what she kept. She didn't leave behind a home, expensive cars, or gold watches. She left behind something far bigger: a gift to the future, a challenge to the church, a denial of greed, and a living testament. What are your thoughts on Mama Mosie's choice then? Was it too extreme, or was it strong? Do our last gifts symbolize something greater than blood, or should families always inherit legacies? Let's discuss it in the comments section. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share this video with anyone who needs a reminder of what true gospel looks like in action. If this story touched you in any way, we got the music from Mama Mosie. It is now our responsibility to continue the chant.